So I want to share some tips for completing the first Outbreak Easter egg boss fight on solo because it can be particularly challenging. So the class setup that I was running was inspired by LEGO Unlocked's video of the AMP-63, and the attachments that I was running was most importantly dual wield, because that gives you 2 guns and just more firepower. Then next I was running the Cavalry Lancer barrel because it does more armor damage. And that is super useful for when you're shooting the boss in the chest. Doing that extra armor damage is really nice. Then I ran the Ember sighting point because it gave me better hipfire accuracy for using the dual wield. And I did not run the SWAT 5 milliwatt laser, even though that gives you more hipfire accuracy. I was willing to sacrifice 10% of it so I could get the increased salvage drop rate. And that's important because you want to be upgrading the gun to legendary tier, and this will help you find more salvage along the way as you're gearing up for the boss fight. The magazine, I ran Salvo 22 round fast mag. I just wanted a fast mag so you can reload like as fast as possible. You're constantly shooting, and I also wanted having the additional ammo, so I didn't go with the 25 round. And then for the muzzle, I just ran the Muzzle Brake 9 for the 5% vertical recoil control. If you don't think that that's necessary, you can try doing the Flash Guard 9, which gives you increased equipment drop rate. And that can be useful for finding more monkey bombs or decoys as you're running around and setting up, and you can make sure you're going into the boss fight, maxed out. And I did not run the SOCOM Eliminator, even though that gives you the most vertical recoil control, because it gives you minus 10% shooting move speed, and you're constantly running around and shooting in the boss arena. So I didn't want any stats to negatively impact that, so I just went with a little bit of boost to that. And then for field upgrade, Aether Shroud is what you're going to want to go with. It's better than Frenzied Guard, in my opinion, because there's no chance of any zombies hitting you while you're in Aether Shroud, whereas Frenzied Guard just slows them down. But, if there's a mimic right behind you, they can snatch you up and it'll distract you from shooting the boss and interrupt your damage phase. And I also found that when you destroy the chest armor of the boss and you're shooting his little orbs, one use of the Aether Shroud with this setup was enough to destroy one of the orbs. So didn't need Ring of Fire, nothing else is worth running, just run Aether Shroud. So as a side note to the class setup, if you don't have the AMP-63s unlocked or leveled up all the way, I've heard that using the Diamatis with the same attachments is really good, or you can run one of the usual meta weapons like the M16 or the Howler, and just run the same strategy using Aether Shroud going up to the orbs. So I'm going to let the video of me completing the boss fight play out, but I wanted to give a couple other useful notes. First, I recommend having your first 3 perks be Quick Revive, Jug, and Stamina. And that's because if you end up going down in the boss fight, you'll be left with 3 perks after you get revived. And those 3 perks are definitely the best if you have to lose anything else. Jug, obviously, you need the health. Quick Revive will help you just recover faster from being hit by all of the damage and all of the elite enemies and stuff that are going to be spawning in. And then Stamina Up is really useful, so you can run around and train the zombies and try and shoot at the boss at the same time. Also, if you do end up going down and you're doing this solo, I recommend burning your self-revive instead of killing one of the enemies, if you can avoid it. By burning your self-revive, that means that you'll keep Quick Revive, and that's just really useful because getting that health regen faster is just super important when you're taking damage constantly. Also, I want to note that I was shooting the boss with my Reiki, like in the chest a bunch, but the AMP-63s will do a lot of damage to the chest anyway. So if you don't end up finding a wonder weapon, you can go into the boss fight with just the AMP-63s or whatever other gun you're using, and you'll still be able to do damage to the boss's chest. And when I first did it, I thought that, you had to do all the damage in one phase, and, I would get really anxious when the boss would teleport to one of the other areas. But the damage that you do to his chest is cumulative, meaning like you can just keep chipping away and just prioritize your own life, because you want to avoid going down at all costs. So, if you have to, stop shooting at his chest to get away and, recoup some of your health, then do that, and don't worry about doing all the damage to his chest, while he's sitting in one spot, because it will accumulate over time. And then, you'll see in some of the clips here he teleports to an area and I shoot him with like 3 bullets, and his chest armor breaks and he goes down and the orbs come out. So don't worry about doing damage, just try and stay alive and chip away at him slowly. Also, just the most important thing is to have your gun, like the AMP-63s, upgraded to legendary tier. You can do the Fury Crystal events around the world as you're setting up to help you increase the rarity without using the salvage. But that's just the most important thing because it'll help you just maximize the amount of damage you're doing. By the way, you don't have to go into the boss fight on World Tier 5. If you need to find the salvage to upgrade your gun all the way to Legendary Tier, that is definitely a priority, and you can just keep going World Tiers until you have that Legendary Tier before you end up shooting the monkeys and picking up the microfilm slides. Because that will be the queue, basically, where the next World Tier you go to will be Ruka, and you'll go into the boss fight. So just don't end up doing that step until you have your gun to Legendary Tier. But do note that the higher World Tier you go to, you're going to start seeing more and more of the armored zombies in the bunker and in the boss fight, so just be aware of that.
Another crystal destroyed! Yes! We may yet live to see another day.
There is still one left. Time is running out.
Happy hour. Your great destiny.
There's only 5 minutes left. Tell you what happens if you don't clear the hatches. Kaboom!
Killing blow! The crystals are destroyed! Hoorah! Hatches clear for missile launch.
Good. Send these missiles to the bottom of the ocean. No one should possess such power.
So, according to Agent Maxis, y'all need a ride out of here. I reckon Weaver's pretty pissed at her going behind his back and all, but there weren't no way I was gonna leave y'all hanging.
Finally, I'll end off the video by showing you a clip of these dual-wield AMP-63s absolutely melting an Orda. Like, I'm super surprised at how much damage they do, even without using Ring of Fire. And I hope that some of the tips in this video helped you if you're still going for this Easter egg solo. It's definitely doable, took me a couple attempts, but you just gotta be patient with it.